So maybe we start with a introduction.
My name is Rohit. I originally come from India, but I'm living in Germany now. And I've been a very long time meditator for almost over 10 years. And I also used to teach meditation. And in the last 7 years, I've really focused a lot on emotional healing, understanding the psychology, and working with the subconscious and the inner child. And I've done a lot of work internally on myself, and also recently also started working with people one-on-one. And polarity in relationships and intimacy is also a very big passion of mine. I've spent a lot of time studying it, experimenting, making a lot of mistakes, learning, discussing. And yeah, this is something that I'm always pretty much thinking about. And I would love to share some things about that on this podcast.
So what was your first breakthrough regarding emotional healing? That would be interesting.
I had this defining moment 6.5 years ago, I think, where I had another panic attack that was quite big, and I was sick of it. Like, it was this point where I had tried so many meditations, read so many books, different techniques, and all of that. And I was literally, I just put my yoga mat on the floor. I lay down and I said, I don't care anymore about this. I give up. I'm done fighting this. I cannot do this anymore. And that thought really occurred to me, like, because it was so uncomfortable. I thought, like, if today's the day I'm going to die, so be it. Like, I'm done. I'm sick of this. I cannot fight this anymore. And for like almost 45 minutes, I was just fully present in my body, listening, breathing, crying, sobbing, screaming. And after 45 minutes, it just stopped and it like settled on its own. And in that moment, I didn't realize it, but what happened for me in that moment was I lost complete resistance to the feeling in that moment, and I just felt it fully, like in all of its intensity and all of its um, sensations and all of that. And that began the process of me where since that day, almost every day I sit with myself with anything, both pleasurable or even uncomfortable, and I just allow myself to feel it. And yeah, I would say that has been the biggest breaking point, because after that, my whole process simplified a lot. I threw away pretty much all my techniques, and I just started doing this one thing of staying present and breathing and feeling and not running away from it.
Yeah, that's a very impressive and beautiful story. And as you said, it's actually quite simple.
Yeah.
Actually quite simple when we get in touch with the energetic dimension of emotions, dropping all the resistance which we have been taught to handling emotions. That, I mean, we have a whole culture like resisting emotions and trying everything to numb down emotions. And I mean, it is so simple and also so natural to see emotions in that way, especially the emotions which we carry around for a very, very, very long time. To the feeling is to process it, and to process it means also to release it or to gain more insight in what we truly want.
I will just add, it's not wrong because it is scary. I mean, these places in us are scary. It's uncomfortable. So with anything uncomfortable, we won't do it unless we know something good is going to come out of it, right? Like, going to the gym is uncomfortable, but people go because they know that they're going to get stronger. And I think it's just that we don't know what is the value of facing this uncomfortability. So we're like, why should I do it? It's uncomfortable. I would rather be comfortable, So I don't think it's wrong that we do that. We have never been educated. And yeah, exactly. I think the difficulty is actually not in the emotion. It's always our resistance to that emotion. So for me, what happened that day was I lost all resistance. Like I was completely okay for the first time in my life to just allow this emotion to be there without trying to get rid of it, without trying to change it and all of that. So a lot of the work that I do with people now is just trying to get them to that state, because from that state everything happens naturally, as you said. So it's really a lot of the time working with people's resistance to these emotions that they have.
And what is your observation when you work with people and help them to release their resistance?
I think the biggest observation I have seen is we have this concept that something is wrong with us. And people always approach this whole thing of like self-help or therapy or um this healing from this space of like, oh, something is wrong with me. I'm feeling this, so something is wrong with me. And I think the biggest thing to note is, and even if people are listening to this and they want to take something away, is nothing has gone wrong with anybody. No emotion is bad. No part of you is bad. Everybody is just dealing with their past, and everybody has had certain experiences and everybody made certain decisions about their past. So for instance, if like a little girl has decided like when she shared her feelings, nobody at home paid attention to it. Over time she just decided like my feelings are worthless, it actually causes me more pain, so I'm going to stop expressing my feelings, right? Now that decision she made so many years ago would now later in a relationship show up as difficulty being in her feminine and expressing on that. But there's nothing wrong with her for that. But then she might hear someone or her partner says like, oh, you're so masculine, you can't chill, and then go there. So then she approaches this whole thing as like, oh, something is wrong with me. And if we approach this as something is wrong with us, we'll never understand what is actually happening, right? So for instance, if you have a child and the child is crying, if you come to the child with this attitude of like, ah, stop crying, something is wrong with you, you're causing me problem, then the child will itself never feel like, oh, okay, I want to communicate something here. So a lot of the times I think it's just working with people's conditioning and saying like, hey, there is actually value to why this emotion is coming up in you. And why this anxiety is coming up, why this pain in your body is coming up, why this pattern is repeating, is there's nothing wrong with it. And starting from there, people can actually understand. And once people understand, you actually don't have to tell them what to do. They themselves know like, oh, okay, I need to change this in my life. That's what
Regarding the actual work, when you work with people and teach them how to let go resistance, you have to teach them also a little bit of technique. So how does this work? How do you approach the resistance?
At least with resistance, I avoid using any specific techniques. It's mostly about a framework. I think people don't have a framework to understand what's happening in their subconscious and their emotions. For instance, many people don't understand triggers. People might not understand like my partner said something to me and I'm getting triggered. In that moment, it appears like your partner is the one causing it, but it's really something from your past coming up. So I think with a lot of resistance, I think once people have a framework to actually view their resistance and see that their resistance is like protecting them from something, and they get a different perspective on the resistance, I think most of the time that is enough. I don't really think I have a technique for resistance other than curiosity and understanding.
Curiosity.
Yeah, maybe that's the technique, being really curious and non-judgmental. It's more like, if you can, the reason I say it's not a technique is this is more like a space from which you have to do this work, right? So you can use curiosity with any technique that you do, like journaling or parts work or inner child healing. But if you can do it from this space of there's nothing wrong with me, but I'm just trying to understand this part of me, so that would be like this way to get out of it.
I mean, for me, this kind of work really opened up a very profound understanding in what kind of motivations and intentions and energies our human system is running regarding our needs, regarding our desires. So I mean, I'm coming from a very deep yoga background, and the way yoga is dealing with needs and desires is always from a very detached view. So you're kind of detaching from the desire, and you put the same energy, like the desire, you put it in the desire to unify with the higher self, to unify with some, you know, göttlich,
Godly energy.
some godly field. So, and that was for me for a very long time a big question. What is it what I feel, and why isn't it going away when I'm doing my yoga? You know? And for me, this kind of work
Exactly.
get in a very vulnerable and very authentic and explicit, direct relationship with the feeling energy is opening such a big space for me in really acknowledging and seeing for the first time in my life my needs, like that these two things are interdependable. Like the emotion always comes with a need, or with a suppressed need, or with a shamed need.
Yeah.
You know? And this was for me such an eye-opener, and also regarding the relationship to my son, to understand that his whole little system is running on needs, and also our adult systems are running on needs. Like the in every second of our life, we are dealing with needs. With do I have cold, or is it hot, or am I hungry, or am I thirsty, or like also the needs regarding bonding and needing other people in your life, needing communication, the need for being seen, the need for like there's so many things. It's a whole world. And this kind of work really opened my understanding, and like the perspective was like, whoa, widening. So what is going on? 10 years in my life I tried to suppress this space, this needy space, because I was thinking when I'm meditating long enough, I'm kind of get rid of it, like but that's actually not the case, because it's life. It's life.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I relate to this as well because I have a background in yoga and meditation from India, so I completely understand the culture from where it is like approached. But I will also say this, that as I started doing this work is when I truly understood yoga and the state of yoga. Because just to get a little bit maybe into the energetics, if we have this field of energy that we call God or consciousness or whatever, and we have our individual field, all our traumas and these needy parts that are not getting love, that changes our frequency so that we go out of tune with this field on that. So as I started doing this work and started integrating and bringing all these things together, I started experiencing these deep states of yoga and this union. It started happening very effortlessly for me. And what I was struggling to experience in like 7-8 years of doing all these deep complicated yoga practices, I was like, oh, okay, this is what they meant by this. And I started having those realizations afterwards. Not to say that it's not wrong, but again, it's people always have this idea, like if I meditate long enough, I'll be perfect. But it's both simultaneously. You can stay completely connected and at the same time have a part of you that needs validation, and it doesn't invalidate the other.
So next question is regarding polarity teaching. So how does polarity teaching has something to do with this kind of work?
For me, what I have realized,
Maybe you
at
can
least
talk first a little bit about what is polarity teaching.
we all have masculine and feminine energies inside us, irrespective of whether we are like man or a woman. So masculine energy is typically something that's connected with like leading, having a vision, taking responsibility and guiding. And the feminine uh, energy is more of like, the feminine has all to do with the energy of responding to uh, the leadership, the direction, giving feedback in a feminine way, expression, and all of these things. And typically, the biggest approach to polarity is with in relationships. So many times, couples over time they lose the spark for each other, and everything feels good, but then something feels off in the relationship. So sometimes one of these things could be that there is absent or reversed polarity. Like the woman is expecting more masculine energy from the man, and the man is expecting more feminine energy from the woman. And usually this is something that is present in the beginning of a relationship, and that intimacy, that pull, that attraction is really strong, and we usually think this is something that is accidental, or it's not in our control. But actually, polarity is its own science in a way, where if you understand masculine and feminine energies and how to express them, you can create these moments of intimacy at any moment in your relationship. So a woman could be out in the world running her business and like making all these masculine things happen. But when she comes back home, if she's bringing all this masculine energy also into her partner, this is going to depolarize the relationship, because then there are two people in the masculine and then there's no attraction on that. And same way with men. Men today have been shamed around their masculine energy, their sexuality, and their power. So the woman is expecting this fierce, loving power from the man, but he's like too afraid to bring it into the world. And men and women have different ways of interacting and responding to this, and uh, it can cause a lot of fights in relationships. So one of the things with polarity is to like really understand this, and once you understand this, you can play with the energy. So one person can choose to become feminine, one person can choose to be masculine, and then you can create these arcs and these make love when you want to come together and you want to have a date evening and all of that, and it can really spark things up in a relationship at any point. It doesn't have to be like something that is gone. It can very easily be cultivated. How this connects to emotional healing is that we have all built up patterns in our life of relating. So we have conditionings around how to be a man, how to be a woman, what the other gender expects from us, what we think is good to give, what is bad to give, and what we are comfortable with. And a lot of this stuff is very, very close to our identity and our sense of self. So many times, for instance, women might carry a lot of shame around their feminine, about expressing their feelings. Many times women don't know the value of their feelings when expressed correctly.
Well, most of the time, women don't feel their feelings.
Yeah, exactly. That also, right? Men carry a lot of shame around their masculinity as well, because you're constantly told in our generation, like men are bad, men are evil, men are abusive, and all of those things. So this we all carry this, let's, for a lack of better word, baggage, and this kills our so think of us as magnets, right? Like a man and a woman as a magnet, and that magnet has become dull. It has not lost its charge, but it has become covered by all this crap, on this. So a lot of this emotional healing is like undoing all these patterns in your body, in your emotions, in your thought patterns. Many times even the way we sit, even the way we walk, like that contributes to your polarity as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is really a very, very, very huge topic, and for me, it was a realization of the different levels we are operating on. Like, man, like gender, men and women relating to one another, and their different needs also, their different
Mm-hmm.
needs. And the way we are communicating them is pretty fucked up. It's pretty fucked up. Like it's I mean, I can see it in my own life and also in my work, that the communication skills are poor
Mm-hmm.
between the masculine and the feminine. And if we would learn these skills, then the world would be a much better place.
Yeah.
Because this is the relating to one another is the building block, it's the foundation for society. And especially in the last 50, 100 years, like there is less and less stable units of families, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because there is so much unprocessed trauma and uh, not knowing how to communicate. And for me, when I in my case, when I when I look at myself and the process I'm into in for the last 2 years, I realized that I never ever as a woman was in touch with my true desires and needs.
Mm-hmm.
I never was. I always thought he should realize that. I expected it from him. Like, this is typical for women.
Yeah.
Women have this tendency, like they don't say anything. They're
Yeah.
just feeling something, that this feeling is off. It's off track.
Yeah.
Something is wrong here. And then we are expecting him to feel us or
Mm-hmm.
see us, and then doing the right thing, like doing the right thing, that is masculine. Like,
Yeah.
because we also we hate doing something. We love to be led. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you ask a woman truly if she wants to lead or if she wants to be led, then every woman will say she loves to be led.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Or almost every woman. I don't want to
Yeah, the ones with the stronger feminine essence would
yeah,
prefer.
exactly. So that we are expecting it, that our partner is seeing our needs, without being truly in touch with our own needs. So that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the biggest realizations I
Mm-hmm.
had.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I am in touch with my true desires and needs, and learn how to skillfully communicate it to him or to the masculine, then for sure he will take care of it. Because I mean, that is my experience with a lot of men, that they are very eager to fulfill the
Mm-hmm.
desires of a woman. And I mean, of course, there is a lot of distortion and there is a lot of trauma, and there is also like a very dark side. But in general, like in a purified version, I think there is or I know, I can feel it really deeply, that the masculine will provide and will protect the feminine. It is a deep, deep, deep desire of him.
Yeah.
That. And if women just start to get in contact with their body and with their really true desires, and I mean, this is not just, oh, I want to be like, I want some flowers or or like that. So it is really what is deep, 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 deep down, what has been shamed the last 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
What is there hidden behind and behind and behind, and to get in touch with these parts again is so liberating
Mm-hmm.
and empowering for women, but she has to do the work. Like this is she really has to do the work
Yeah.
to work through all that shit
Yeah.
in, like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this kind of, whoa, my god, it is so fearful. So yeah, it's really a ride.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with this feminine desire for the man to get things. Which it's I think that desire is completely healthy in and of itself. Um, the question for women to ask is, are you communicating in a way that his nervous system picks it up? It's not necessarily through words.
This
Uh,
is,
wo-
yeah, exactly.
Words, in my
Words,
experience, should
but it's
actually,
all
I
through
mean,
the, yeah.
there is a space to sit and have a talk, like, if you're planning to buy a house together and you talk finances, then of course don't talk about feelings, you need to talk money. There is a place for that. But in moments of intimacy, right, like, it's much better to use like polarized communication. So women should learn to express. Yeah, first step, like you say, is actually get in touch with your feelings. That's the number one, because you can't express without
Yes.
you getting in touch, or rather you don't realize what you're expressing. Because many times women never, another thing, and I have seen many women do, is they never express in the moment, right? Like something is wrong or something doesn't feel good, and they expect the man to figure it out without telling anything, and then that thing just gets pent up because he hasn't realized it. And
And
then finally, when they decide to say something, it's this years of pain just boom, just like comes out. And
it's
that is actually never going to inspire a man to take action for you,
yes.
right? So the feminine is really, really about responding, right? Like even to the smallest, like you're on a date and the man lost his presence and he got distracted a bit, right? How does that feel in your body? And
Oh,
that pain, like that pain, most women think that expressing that is going to push the man away, right? But if it's expressed correctly, without judgment, with a lot of trust and with a lot of love,
and also
that
it
expression is actually going to pull the
body
man back.
expresses with to express this kind of like responses through the body,
Yeah,
like letting him see and feel your vibration, not, and that is not so easy, like,
it's
because
not.
we're so
It's not.
used to use words. Like
Yeah,
it's a difference when I'm saying, oh, I'm so disappointed you lost your attention, or if
yeah,
I'm like like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, this is a lifelong practice. And this is why also, like, most problems in intimacy are not resolved just by what happens in the bedroom, right? It's about how do you breathe during the rest of the day? How do you walk on the street? Are you soft? Is your body soft? Are you habitually tense? Like all of these things, plus your conditioning, plus your beliefs about men, about your childhood wounds with your father, and all these things come together for polarity. So in my view, I feel polarity, working on polarity, is one of the deepest spiritual practices you can do, because it touches pretty much everything. Touches your physical, your emotional, your energetic, your beliefs, your thought patterns, subconscious, and all of that. And it's fun, actually. It's a lot of fun once you understand it, and once you get into it. It's also super fun, I feel, to play it.
yes, it is fun, but it is also, for me as a woman, to speak from my perspective, it is also really work. It
Yeah,
is
of course.
work
Of
to
course.
yeah, for example, the last weeks, I'm pretty busy right now. I have a lot
Mhm.
on my plate, and I do not have enough time.
Mhm.
I have a little child, and there are only 6 hours, and when I'm sleeping 1 hour later, I'm
Mhm.
losing 1 hour, and it's like shit.
Yeah.
And I started to notice, or I noticed that my movements went very fast
Yeah.
over, very fast. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing my yoga practice, and 2 weeks ago I decided to um dump that and do a like more sensual practice.
Mm-hmm.
Breast massage. I'm doing some really like feeling my hands, feeling my
Mm-hmm.
my skin, like connecting with this softer part,
Mm-hmm.
and dancing,
Mm-hmm.
putting music on. It was just 1 hour. I took the time and practiced.
Mm-hmm.
I practiced to be sensual.
Yeah.
And my whole day was a different experience. I can,
Yeah.
the reactions from the men on the streets
Yeah.
are completely different
Yeah.
towards, like, I even said to, I even said to the father of my child, like, I want to have some flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, no, I'm not buying you flowers right now. And I just said, I want to have some flowers, but it was coming from such a deep
Mm-hmm.
fullness. It was not
Yeah.
there was no demanding in it,
Yes.
it was just like I felt how it feel to get some flowers.
Mm-hmm.
That was my frequency, that was like my emanation.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, just buying me flowers. He couldn't resist,
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't resist it.
Yeah.
and and these are just little moments. I can see the impact of these kind of practice.
Yeah.
And also like the remembrance that I have to do them if I
Yeah.
want to be in my feminine energy, in a world full of masculine energy, in a world who demands from
Mm-hmm.
you as a woman to be in your masculine energy, to do the household, to raise the children, to do the jobs,
Mm-hmm.
like having the schedule in mind. Um and it's almost an act of a revolution that you as a woman put on pause, like push the bottom on pause and do some kind of a practice. And I can assure you, as a woman, it will change so much. Like little things, but these little things are so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. We're always practicing. The question is, what are you doing it and are you aware of it?
Yeah.
People are practicing being stressed all day.
Yeah, but I mean, you can say it is their responsibility, and a part of it is their responsibility, of course. But it is also, we are living in a very, very sick world. We are
Mm-hmm.
living in a world where it's like running only on masculine energy, and
Mm-hmm.
if you if you are living in a world running on masculine energy, it will extract feminine energy. It will it will bleed it out. There is you really have to break out of these sick patterns and create the balance for yourself. And even, I mean, you're a man, you had to develop this feminine energy to get in contact with your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to put to push the bottom and cultivate
I called it.
the feminine energy inside yourself.
I understand where you mean, but I think like there are some places where you need masculine energy.
Of
It,
course.
it just demands it. So mothering is extremely masculine. If you're running your own business, you have to be in the masculine because you cannot get up and say, today I don't feel like doing this, right? Shit has
Exactly.
to get done, like
Yeah.
on that. You
Yeah.
have to walk towards the goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course everything has been distorted, but also it is a choice, as you say, like you have to remind yourself and you have to practice. You have years of having lived a certain way unconsciously. So what I meant is like you're practiced being a certain way, and now it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of energy to change that.
Yeah.
That's, nobody's denying that, but there are very good rewards for it, as you say, like these small things, big things, it comes with everything. I recommend people, I think the best approach to this is to actually fall in love with the process, because the work is never going to end.
Yes.
Right, there is always going to be something that's going to trigger you. There's always going to be something to deepen. So if you're coming to this place to think like, okay, I'm going to work on this for 6 months and then I'm going to be like this awesome,
And
you
I'm
will be
done.
very disappointed. You will be very disappointed, you know. So it's good if you just come with this, you know, with this love of the practice itself, you know, like the process is the reward itself, you know, like every day you sit and every time you do like a sensual movement practice, you won basically, you know, like on that. So yeah.
Actually,
um,
yeah, it is a
and I will also just say one thing, which is also like, men have been asked, you know, to get in touch with their emotions, and that's true. Yeah, there is some value to it, but especially for the male system, it's very important that the heart and the emotions don't become the center, right? That emotion has to be grounded in that masculine energy. Otherwise, the woman is just going to be repulsed. I just
Can you
wanted to throw that
explain this a little bit further? Like what do you mean?
in. So again, for most men have a masculine essence and most women have a feminine essence, even though a woman can be in her masculine and a man can be in his feminine, you know. That's let's start with that. Many times, for instance, uh, women will tell men, oh, you need to get in touch with your feelings more, you know, and things like that. But many times that's actually what women need to do. Women need to be more in touch with their feelings. From a polarity perspective, it's a lot better to have the man or the masculine partner be grounded and witnessing the feelings rather than getting into
Good.
the feelings.
Yes.
So when a man does the practice of getting in touch with his emotions, what he's going to get out of that is a deeper ability to feel his woman, not necessarily express his emotions, because that can kill the polarity in the relationship, right? But the more a man is in touch with his emotions and his ability to sit present with his emotions, he can actually stay fully present with another woman through all of her expressions on that. So I would just say, like, for man, it's important to get in touch with the feelings, not necessarily to express, but to strengthen your capacity to feel her on that. And for women, it would be more in touch to get in touch with the feelings, to express and to show and to reveal, rather than feel the man necessarily in that way.
But I mean, the emotions are are the same. I mean, men feel anger, men feel
Mhm.
sadness too. Men have fear. So how should they deal with their emotions?
Mhm. Um, in my experience and my recommendation, for most men in the beginning, it is good to process it alone or with a group of men. Because the moment his intimate partner has to hold space for him, she steps into the masculine. It's okay once in a while, like, but many times if it becomes a pattern, the woman is going to feel really burdened by that, and she's not signed up for that in a relationship with the man. So most of the time, it's good for a man to process it by himself or with a group of men. Again, this doesn't mean that he ignores it, he suppresses it by going to the gym and just pumping weights, but really doing these practices of breathing, opening his body, feeling, and doing that by himself or with a group of men. Once his practice deepens, and this is something I'm just beginning to explore with, there is a way for a man to express his emotions and to express his feminine while his masculine is still containing his emotion. So he never, for most men, sometimes when these emotions come up, they might completely collapse, and that collapse is what the feminine picks up as like a lack of safety, a lack of trust in that moment. So I think as a man deepens his practice, he can have so much of his masculine presence where this fear can come up with him and he doesn't collapse when that fear arises, right? And from that space, if he just shares a little bit, like, hey, I'm feeling a little bit of fear today, that I think would still pass for the polarity in the relationship, but that is a little bit more nuanced. It will take some more time for a man to together. So in the beginning, just to make things simple, it's good for the masculine partner to learn to stay grounded, learn to stay present, and process things separately, and then bring that processing back to the woman and feel her more deeply.
Mhm. In order to do what? So why should a man feel a woman more deeply?
So that he can lead. Leadership is not about just telling the woman what to do, right? It's about feeling her, feeling you, feeling your intuition, and then leading to the next step that is going to open her more, or that is going to deepen the love and the intimacy between you, right? So leadership is never about like, I read this book and men have to lead, I'm going to tell her what to do, but it's only if before you can lead anything, you have to understand the situation, right? And to understand a woman, you have to feel her fully. Because many times women will say things, they'll do things, but it might appear very confusing. But if the more a man can feel the woman, it becomes very clear, like, oh, okay, she needs love, she needs firmness right now, like that.
Okay.
Mm.
And this is one of the, this is what I see is lacking in the world. Like this is in our woman culture, we always say, where are all the good men? Where are the real men? And deep down, it is this skill. It is this skill that I think that this is also like this desire. He should feel me. He should know,
Mm-hmm.
like he should know. I don't know what's going on with me,
Mm-hmm.
but he should know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting because it's on both sides.
Yeah.
We as a woman, we have to do the work to get in touch with our feelings and with our true needs and start to communicate them in a very in a respectful but
Feminine way.
feminine and also authentic, like raw way through our body. While at the same time, he should see and like feel everything
Lead, take
and
charge.
lead and take charge to the next like step in, because we it is so difficult because I don't want to speak about all women, but like as you said, women with a deep desire to be in the feminine, in feminine frequency, we want to let go.
Yeah.
We want to exhale. We want to surrender. We want to close our eyes and be taken to other worlds. Like we have this deep desire to be taken beyond whatever, um to be penetrated by life, to feel so deeply. And we are getting bored if this is not going to happen. It is boring, if this is not going to happen. And to understand this.
So the thing to keep in mind, especially for somebody listening, because many times women will do this where they'll learn about polarity and learn about relationship, and then they'll start leading their man to come and read books and do that, right? There
It
is
is
absolutely nothing wrong with all this that you said, but what women have to take away is your expression of this yearning to be led is what will evoke the masculine in him.
Yes.
So women, many times people misunderstand the feminine to think like being feminine means just being passive. I'm just going to follow whatever he does and that's it, right? But we all evoke things from each other, right? Like if I don't show up fully in my masculine, it's going to push the woman into her masculine because she can feel she can't trust me. So now she's going to step up and she's going to take charge when I should be the one, doing it. And it's the same way with women. Women complain, I want a masculine man. But really, the way you're being right now, if a masculine man walked up to you, there is no value for him or very little value for him.
Yeah.
So as a woman, you have a lot of power in the relationship. So don't start complaining like, oh, my man is not doing this. It's like you become more feminine than your man, then he automatically goes into the masculine, right?
Yes.
How do you need to show up that would inspire him to like just leave everything and like take charge of you and like do it, right? So it is possible. It is definitely possible.
Yeah, but
And
this
that's
is
the
very
learning. That's
true.
unfortunately we are not taught, that
Because we always want to give him the book he should read,
yes,
we always want to give him this podcast, he has to
yes,
hear it, because then
exactly. So please,
no.
yes, for all the women who are doing that, please don't do that, because
I
that is
know, but it is
extremely,
so strong, this desire, and I'm dealing with it every day
yeah,
almost, like not to do it, not
yes, yes,
because I have
because
a list on resources, and but it is actually true, like this, and it's starting to land inside my psyche,
hmm,
that if I want him to be in his masculine, I have to be in my feminine.
exactly,
And that means I'm not telling him what to read.
exactly. And also why? Because when you tell him what to read, you are leading.
Exactly.
Right, and it's very emasculating for a man to hear that from his partner, because in that moment you're literally telling him in one shot what women don't realize. But to a man's system, he hears it as like, I don't trust you, I've given up on you, and here's what you need to do, I'm taking charge, and then the man is like, he doesn't. So men will either fight you, but most men don't want to fight their woman, right? So that's the point at which he's like, oh, okay, there's already him in the masculine, so I'm just gonna sit back, and that's gonna turn you off more, and it's gonna make you even angry, right? So yeah, please, for any of the women listening to this knowledge is for you, not for your man.
What instead to do?
Right. So first step is you work on opening your heart and you reveal things to him. You become so feminine that he's automatically masculine in relation to that. Like for instance, when I'm with a partner and she's been working the whole day and she comes back home, at the end of the day, when she comes home, in the first half an hour, I really ramp up my masculine energy so that she pops out of the masculine. Like I have to out masculine her almost in that sense, right? And then she's like, "Phew." Okay, and then she literally, her energy pops open, and then she's back into her feminine. So there are ways where women can learn to out feminine their masculine, their partner in a way, right? And the biggest thing is never lead the man, but always show him how he is impacting you. So if he's I don't know, give me like an example, right? Like he did something where he's not leading, right? And you can literally go like you can express this anger, but this anger is coming from this playful, loving, open-hearted space. It's coming from this space of like, I need to show my man, I trust my man, I know he can be deeper than this, and I need to show him that he just dropped me here, and he didn't even realize it, on that. The work that women have to do is, when a man's not leading, it's going to trigger all this pain in you from your past, right? And when you start expressing that past emotion and the past baggage, that is not going to activate his masculine. So you have to do that work to heal that, to love yourself, to release all that stuff. And then when you can express how his lack of leadership is making you feel, and I truly mean this, when your expression is vulnerable, trusting in the man, and with no judgment, it will do something to him, right?
Yeah.
And unless you're married a complete idiot, the man will pick it up, something will change, on that. So for a lot of women, it's about revealing, and just wait and give the man some time to like stumble.
Also to be in touch with our vulnerable place, like
Yeah.
this really, really, really the what is the Steigerung, vulnerable, the most vulnerable place
Mm-hmm.
in our system,
Yep.
and that's the challenge. That's the what I see in my process, and I'm still not there where I want
Mm-hmm.
to be, like as a woman, to be really, really in touch with my heart and to speak from my heart, uh, because it is so tender
Mm-hmm.
and fragile almost to be in that place.
Yep.
And safety is an issue for women. Safety is
Yep.
the issue. It is
Yeah.
the issue
Yeah.
for women, because the world was not a safe place for women. I mean, in the last in human history,
Mm-hmm.
through human history, you can go all the way back.
Yep.
So our systems, our nervous systems, are deeply, deeply wired
Yeah.
that this world is not a safe place for
Yeah.
women,
Yeah.
and that we are, yeah, especially when there are children, that we are dependable on our environment, on our like community.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it's not for sure safe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something a woman has to realize, that this is a deep, deep, deep underlying fear in her
Mm-hmm.
nervous system,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
which she
And
feel, and also like this is something men don't understand from
yes,
women.
I think there was this very nice experiment that they did where they got a group of men and women in a room, and they asked the men like, when was the last time, did you feel unsafe today? Like raise your hands. Like no man raised his hand. And like when in the last day, in the last week, in the last month, and men like, okay, maybe in the last year I felt unsafe maybe once, and that. And for women it's like every day, just walking
Yeah,
on the street
yeah.
can feel unsafe, and all of that. So that is true. I mean, this is part of understanding what is different about men and women. um, but I will also say this, that at least with your intimate partner, right? We always wait for the other person to go first, right? So men are saying like, I'm not going to lead until she becomes all soft and nice and receptive. And, to me, until then, it's like, it's too scary. I'm not going to lead, she's like a dragon. I'm going to stay away from her. And women are always waiting like, oh, until my man shows up fully like a king and a warrior and is protecting me, I'm not going to like open my heart, so of course, if you're in an abusive relationship and there is something really wrong, and the thing that you need to protect yourself, absolutely do. But sometimes it's just whoever has this knowledge has to go first, like you have to open up and express and treat your vulnerability as a gift,
Mm-hmm.
right? So um the initial way of looking at it is like, oh, it's very fragile, and yes, it is. I'm really not denying that, but this is where the stronger a woman's inner masculine is. She has that strength to gift her vulnerability, right? So gifting is like, this is what I'm feeling right now and I want to reveal this to you, and what you do with it is up to you, right? That's the risk that a woman takes with the
Yes,
expression of that,
yes, that's the
right?
risk.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And same way with the man, right? The masculine risks rejection through leadership,
Yeah.
and the feminine risks rejection through vulnerable expression, right? Because you can be so vulnerable and express something to your partner, and he's not present, he's feeling, he ignores you, and that is going to hurt, you know uh, but and it's the same way as a man, right? Like I might be so scared to lead my woman when she's in all this scary emotion, and I might say something and she's just gonna like lash out to me in that moment. But we have to go first, and what many women have not experienced is you actually opening your heart and trusting that man, even in that moment, if he doesn't feel fully trustable, can actually evoke him to become more trustable. And I for instance, I dance tango. I always share this example. I think Shanaz also knows this. I had once danced with a woman. I was still a complete beginner. I was still a beginner at that point, and we danced for the first time, and she put so much trust into me, and I was doing the leader role and she was following, and the feeling I got from her was, here is my body, right? And I trust you, like lead me, I'm going to follow you on this. No matter what you do, I'm going to follow you, right? And her act of doing that to me, she placing her body or giving me that chance to lead her, right? That gifting itself made me so present in that moment. Like I wanted to give my 100% to her in that dance, because she was willing to follow me and trust me, even though I was a complete beginner, and she probably had the trust to do that because she had practiced being the follower for so long that she knew that she could take care of, like herself. So I would just say, like, yes, we all have wounds, we all have expectations, but sometimes we also have incredible power to step up, and when you step into the feminine correctly, it will push the other person into the masculine. We all carry this power, like, so don't wait for your man, the perfect man, to show up, and all of that. Start being feminine, start being open-hearted and expressing. It is going to hurt, it is going to suck a lot of the time, but the reward at the end is worth it almost always. So either two things will happen, right? If you step into your feminine, either your man is going to step into the masculine and lead, or you realize he's not the man for you, and then you can move away to a different partner, right? So you don't lose anything actually by stepping into your feminine.
Yes. Beautiful.